All right, Jim Hamilton here. Going to go through the daily pace report tutorial with you. So let's just go in here and let's put in January 1, 2017, okay? Plug that in, and work days of the month. Got to look at your January and figure out how many work days you have in a month, and I'm just going to count the minus the holidays. So I'm going to say I got 21 work days in the month from starting January 2nd through January 31st, just counting the Mondays through Friday. Okay, so we'll go from there, and the first input, the first day of the month, we'll go 01, 02, 2017. All right, so that's going to be Monday, January 2nd, 2000. So I'm going to put in 22 days in the month. Sorry, because 31st ends on a Tuesday. We're going to start it on a Monday on the 2nd. All right. So then we have to identify what departments we have. Do I have a plumbing department? Now you can customize this. Okay. But right now I'm just going to call that the plumbing department. And these will read, this is the setup, so it'll read through each one of the tabs. Just to give an indication here, you see the plumbing, HVAC service, electrical service. I might as well put in plumbing service here so we don't get confused, because we do have a plumbing install down here department, so we need to be clear about what this department is. All right, and you'll see that that just carries over to the department here. It calls it plumbing service. Just to test that, I'm going to take the service part out, just to show you that it does read from that tab. And now it's just called plumbing. Okay, so all of the setup and what you call your departments are going to be right here on this tab, on this main sales data setup tab. All right, now from there you need to set up your number of budgeted number of calls, how many hours you're going to sell, and your service revenue. And then if you have your prior year, put in your prior year calls run for January, the hours sold in January, and on the service revenue that you sold in January. So that would be a good indicator to show how you're performing versus year over year. Now this information here is going to come from your budget. Now it's going to come from your, if you've done the business planning workshop, and I recommend that everybody do the business planning workshop every year. It's over with this year for 2017, but it starts up again in September, and we run 4 months of these business planning workshops. So get yourself signed up for a business planning workshop, because you're going to get some great information, and part of that great information is to set up this page here. Otherwise, you're just going to be guessing. Okay? Now, the business planning workshop, don't get me wrong, anytime you do a business plan, it's an educated guess. It's based off of your history. But we do work you through a thought process that dials that down tighter for you. Okay, so right here I'm going to put in the plumbing service calls run. I'm just going to put in 400 calls. Just got to make something up here because I don't have a budget in front of me. And my sold hours for the month are going to be another 600 sold hours. Okay, and my service revenue for that month is going to be 600 sold hours. I'm going to say $100,000. Okay, so I've got $100,000. All right, had to pause that. So I put in $100,000 here in revenue. Now I'm just pulling this out of my backside right now. Okay, so I don't have a budget. You'll have a budget to go from, where you'll put in your number of calls you're going to run, your hours sold, and your service revenue that you're going to drive in. And then if you have last year's information, let's just put in, we did 300 calls last year. We sold 400 hours, or 4,400 hours, or 400 sold hours, and then our budget last year was 75,000. Our actual was 75,000. So we're looking to take a big jump here in this department. Now I'll just take you also down here in the service, HVAC service side. If we did the same thing, put in 400, probably do 500 hours sold and do 85,000 revenue, and then go to the installation department for estimated calls run. I'm going to run, got one salesman basically. Maybe I have 10 salesmen, whatever it is, you know, take it down times your 22 days. So if I have one, I'd be putting in 44 leads, right? 2 a day. So I'm going to just put in 44 right now. Average sold days, I'm going to say sold 17 days out of that. And the revenue we generated from that was close to $100,000. All right, and put in some backlog here. Enter the backlog from the prior months. So if you have a backlog, you'll put that in from your prior month. And this is January, so I'm not going to start the year off with a backlog. But the backlog is defined as sales made in the prior month but not yet installed. Okay, this can be found on tab 31. Tab 31, cell R50. So if I go over here to tab 31, R50 is right here. For the HVAC install, you'll see your backlogs, R31. It'll pop up here as you get this thing loaded. So you could put that in. You can see your backlog as you go year to date on the running total here for your month. So you'll be able to plug that in for the prior month for the next month. So this is January. So if you come up to February, you'll look here in your January and you'll plug that backlog in to what we're saying right here is going to be your backlog. All right. So that's going to be your setup, and I can take you through each department. You have other departments. Got an extra one here for you. We pre-populated it with plumbing service, HVAC service, electrical, drain cleaning, and then these are installation departments, and they're treated differently. But I give you 3 installation departments: a HVAC, a sewer installation, and a plumbing installation. Okay. So that's how it's set up for now. So now let's jump over. That'll take you through the setup piece of this tab. Now let's jump over to how we fill this out. So we come over here. Now you'll see the pre-populated information in here. You'll see some devos because we don't have anything filled out in part of this. But you can see that we have the plumbing service department got some pre-population, got daily goals, sold hour goals, revenue. Okay. And then we've got same thing here, and then HVAC install, we have that here. You'll also see these other ones don't have anything pre-populated because we didn't do it in the setup tab. We didn't set those departments up. So anyways, as you go and you plug in the first day of the month, number of work days to date, this is going to be your number 1 work day. Okay, so right now we are, because we don't have anything entered in, we're behind the goal for the day. So plumbing, I needed to run 18 calls. If I ran 17, I put in there. So that means that I'm 1 off my variance, and my pace to budget, I'm going to be minus 26 if I do that. Okay. Now, sold hours, I'm going to put in 28 sold hours, and that's going to put us ahead of budget. So 28 is daily average is this. The goal is 27.27 because it divided it by our number of sold hours that we said we wanted in this department here of 600, and divided it by 22, and that's what we end up with. Okay. Let's see here. Number of work days to date, right? So then I come down here to HVAC. Oh, put in the revenue. I'll put in $4,500 in revenue, and we're going to be off $1,000 if we keep that pace up. All right. So now we got HVAC service. I'm going to put in the 18 calls. I'll put in 22 sold hours, and I'm going to put in $4,000 in revenue. So we're missing the calls, missing the sold hours, but we're up in revenue. Maybe we sold more material than we thought we were going to sell, basically. All right. And here's our daily average for right now as we're coming through this. And this up here is going to tell a lot. and we're $98,000 behind schedule right now. That's because we haven't populated anything into here. So on the first day, we generated 2 leads, and we sold one of those leads. The dollars we sold on that lead was $7,800. And we actually installed, we didn't install any of them yet because it's the first day of the month, and I didn't have anything carried over, so I got 0 install revenue. So for right now, I've got some on the books. I've got 7,800 that's going to be installed on Tuesday. So now what I need to do, so we see this, if we keep at this pace after the first day, you can see you're going to miss your target by $98,000. Now, I want to tell you something. When you look at this pace report and you look in the first 7 to 8 days of the month, you know, it's going to bring you on an emotional roller coaster. Don't look at it 7 to 8 days of the month. Fill it out for the first 7 to 8 days, but the variances are going to just be widespread. As you fill out more information, as you get past the 7th and 8th day, it'll level out the variance. It'll really give you a closer feel for where you're at. You know, right now you might be saying, oh my God, let's close the doors. No, keep going. Stay in business another day, okay? Let's just see what happens. And you go into the next day and you put in 20 calls ran. Hours sold was 28. In revenue, we generated $5,000 in revenue. HVAC service, we ran 20 calls. Only generated 20 hours, but we generated $3,900 in revenue. And, oh, got to put in number 2 day. This is important. Work days of the month. Number 2, this is the second one. All right. And now our estimates over here, we ran 2 estimates. We sold another one. We sold it for $8,900. We had 1 install day, and we had install revenue of the $7,800 from yesterday. Okay? So now it looks like, okay, now after 2 days, you can kind of see how the variance came down. Now you're missing it by $7,800. It's because you had no installs on the first day of the month. But your calls, you're on pace to do 25 more calls. And you're on pace to just miss your sold hour target by 70 sold hours. Now you're ahead in your plumbing department. You're on pace to do 16 more, but you're short by 38 more in your HVAC service. So you can look at this departmentally and see how you're doing pace-wise for your call counts and your revenue and your number of calls by each department. Okay? So, you know, we're way ahead of the sold days on pace. Sold 2 days in 2 days. We only said we were going to do 17 sold days in the month. So at this rate, we're going to do 22, right? So that would put us 5 sold days ahead. And we're on pace to generate $8,300 ahead. We're on pace to do $183,000 versus $100,000. Again, don't get too crazy here, okay? You're looking at this thing 2 days in. So let's put in the 3rd day. And this is the 3rd day. And I run in calls here, and I'm going to run 18 calls on the plumbing side because the call center's got this thing locked down. And we're going to do $4,500 here in revenue. The HVAC service, we run 18 calls, sell 23 hours, and we're at $3,700. And in my estimates, I got 1 estimate today. I didn't sell a day. I got no dollars sold for the day. I did install that 1 day, and it was the $8,500 job that we sold the previous day. All right. So now you can see you're on pace to do $2,600 more on the plumbing side and $66 more in the HVAC service side. You're on pace to be short 7 leads at this pace. Because you only had the 1 estimate today, you're on pace to be short 2 sold days. You remember, we were 5 sold days up because we missed a sold day here. You know, now we're on pace to miss it by 2.3. Like I said, don't jump off a cliff the first 7, 8 days here because it'll start leveling out. So I'm going to take you through a whole week, so to show you how to use a weekend here, the days that we weren't planning on, because we only planned on 22 days and we didn't count the Saturdays and Sundays. The Saturdays and Sundays are bonus days for us, but I'll show you how we use that. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this out so I can get you to the Saturday and Sunday, but I got to put in the right number here. And I put in 45 like we just hit budget. And I put in 18, put in 22.73 hours because that's what our budget was, and I'll put in 38.64, put in 2, I'm going to put in 0, I didn't sell anything here, didn't sell anything here, didn't sell anything here. Okay, didn't install anything because I've only sold 2 of them for the month. Now this is the 4th day. Make sure you fill that out. So now you see that we're looking at 29,000 short. Plumbing's looking solid, HVAC's not looking so solid, and the installation department's not looking so solid just yet. But now let's go back up here to the 5th day. It's Friday. And put in your, say we did 19 calls on there. We did only sold 20 hours though. And so only sold $4,000. Here, service calls here. We ran 17 calls, but we sold 30 hours. And our service revenue was $6,500. All right, our estimates, we had 4 estimates. We sold 2 of them. We were able to generate $16,000 on those 2 sales. We installed one of those sales for $8,000. Oops, 1 install, and we had an $8,000 install later. Okay, so now you can see after 5 days, you're going to be $900 above for the month. Plumbing's going to miss by $802 now. See how volatile that got? But your installations are going to jump up. It looks like you're going to hit it above $6,900, but your HVAC service is going to drop down to $5,100 short. So now I'm going to show you how to use the weekend. So on the weekend, because Friday was the 5th, Saturday is the 5th working day, and Sunday is the 5th working day, and then Monday will be the 8th working day. I'm sorry, will be the 6th working day of the month. Okay, because Friday was the 5th, so now Sunday will be the 6th, and we count Saturday and Sunday as the 5th. So now we've got some bonus days here to pack in on Saturday if we're working Saturday. Go back here to Saturday and say, okay, I had a skeleton crew, so I ran 9 calls, sold 5 hours though, and generated some service revenue of about $2,200. Okay, HVAC, we ran 8 calls, sold 6 hours, generated about $1,800. And estimates, we ran 2 estimates, sold 2. So those were $16,000. 16,000. We didn't install any of them. Okay, so I got no revenue. Now Sunday, kind of a light day, only ran 2 plumbing calls, sold 4 hours and 2 plumbing calls and generated $1,200. HVAC, ran 3 HVAC calls, sold 3 hours, generated about $1,600. We did one lead. We sold that lead and we sold it for 10 grand. We didn't install anything because the installers didn't work. Okay, so now what we can see is after Sunday, you're going to be 30,000 ahead. 14 coming from your plumbing, 97 coming from your HVAC service, and 6,900 is coming from your installation department. You have on pace though to do 94,000 more than you budgeted. Okay, because we've sold some leads. We just haven't installed them yet. So now Monday comes along, and we put in the 6 days here. It's the 6th working day of the month. And I'm going to go ahead and put in, ran 20 calls on the plumbing side, sold 28, revenue was $4,100, HVAC, we ran 23 calls. We sold 15 hours. So we turned a bunch of leads over today, and we generated about $4,000 still. Estimates, we had 4 estimates today. Sold only one of them. We sold it for $9,500. We did 2 installs today, and that install revenue was $16,000. Okay, so now, after the 6th working day of the month, you're on pace to beat your budget by $66,000 all the way across here. Now it starts getting leveling out. Okay, after you get to that 8th day, because you got a full weekend now. Okay, you got a full Monday through Monday in, and that kind of levels out your whole playing field. So there's 31 days in a month, but you count your weekends. You give your weekend the same number of work days as your Friday, okay? Just to keep it on pace, all right? And that's how this program works. So this will be part of your daily huddle conversation to see where you're on pace at and where you're missing it. And on the first week of the month, I want to warn you again, don't go ballistic because it's too volatile. Use the second week as more of a guide of where you're missing it, okay? Or where you're actually celebrating and doing well. So don't jump off a cliff and celebrate too fast on the first day of the month either, okay? All right, so that's the pace report. If you got any questions,